My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. This is a Connecticut high school football preview, the Westhill football program, and also the new head coach for Westhill, Alan Joseph. Coach Joseph, first off, congratulations and welcome to the Connecticut Sports Talent Podcast.
Hey, thank you, Chris. Appreciate you having me on, especially early on in these first couple months of my, career. So appreciate it.
First you get hired, right after COVID, you're trying to get things back up to speed. And you know what? Let's throw a hurricane at you just to see if you really love it. And you lucked out, man.
Yeah, definitely. So quote unquote hurricane. We haven't gotten much our way so far. I know some people east have gotten it, but we've kind of lucked out today. So we'll see what happens later on tonight. They said it might just be some storms. So, we're hoping everybody else is safe and, could get through this stuff, especially after the last one we had.
And if the field is in condition, tomorrow football practice. Let's go.
Absolutely. We have a lot of work to do.
A lot, and that goes for everybody. And we'll get into that in a little bit, Coach. Before we get into the team and such, I just want to get into yourself now. You were part of the staff, the previous regime, and the head coach, Coach DeVellis, and he did a fantastic job, like you and I were talking about before, in building the program, laying the foundation, and getting something going. When the position was open, was your first inclination like, hey, I want to see if maybe there's an opportunity for me to be able to take the job?
To be honest, no. If I'm going to be candid, this is my 14th. Going to be my 14th year as a coach. I've been an assistant for a very long time at several different schools. I've always been close to the coaches I've worked with, and I know what it entails, and I know the task at hand, and it's a difficult job, So I always commend the other coaches that are doing it, because it takes a special person to be a head coach, on a lot of different levels. So, like you said, Joey laid down the foundation. I thought he did a great job with trying to change the program around. It kind of stinks that he left when he did, because I think with some of the groups, especially last year, I thought we had a special group last year that we were really excited about, and then COVID happened. So that would have been a big year for him and for the program. But now, he laid the foundation. A lot of our guys have been part of the program with us the past couple of years, so they know what the expectation is. We're still trying to turn some things around right now, but I think we have a good core group that kind of get what we're trying to do. So that was part of the reason why I wanted to, put my name in the hat. I love Westhill. I think it's a great place, and we do get a lot of talented kids. We're just trying to build it so we get a couple more.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And I think to kind of piggyback off what you said, as far as like, you've been with the program now for quite a few years before you became the head coach, as you were hired 2.5 months ago. But I think there's a true benefit for a program, as particularly like Westhill, which is still trying to get its way back to, high success. And I think to stay in-house, and I said this to you before we started this podcast, this interview, that the kids know you. They have an understanding of what you, maybe not as a head coach, but they know your face. They know what you expect. And I think having that is huge, especially because 2020 was a lost season. And now you're trying to keep kids and get them back and reel them into the game of football again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think with a lot of coaches, like I said, especially if you're out of the building, I give you a lot of credit. It's tough when you're in the building. So coming from out of the building and into a new school, it's a tough task. For me, I have the benefit of being in the school, also being a counselor in the school, which kind of changes the game because, I have access to all the grades already. So, that's a big piece for us at Westhill. So that helps, knowing the players that you have, first and foremost, who are eligible or not eligible. You don't want to go into things kind of blind, and the summer goes by fast. So it's helped me a lot to kind of know the guys and know the expectations already from some of the guys. So that's been a blessing.
Now, when you were hired, was there, and I know you talked about the staff and such, how many people are staying on, or did any stay on from the previous regime?
Yeah, so we have a guy who's been coaching with us for a while, especially since I've been here, former alumni, Owen Sandoval. He's going to be calling the offense, and he's been with us for the past few years as an offensive line coach. He and I kind of understand each other, and he understands what I was trying to do with Joey. And he works in the building, which is another plus. So he's been around for a while. Anthony Pirelli is going to be working with our young guys. So he's been around the program for a while. Brian Cross has been our receivers coach, and Ali Knott has been with us as well. So we have a good core group that have been with us, but it's been beneficial to hire some other guys that haven't been with the program. One of the most important is Bill Kurtz, who used to be a head coach at Westhill. He was a defense coordinator at New Canaan for a few years. I won a couple of state championships with them. And he's works in the building. So it helps out a lot having those guys a little old, a little new, because sometimes you have to change things up, especially we haven't been successful the past couple of years to call a spade a spade. So we need some fresh eyes and, some people to kind of bring in some new things to the program.
It also helps too when you're bringing a coach that's got a couple rings, kind of like what Saban does with those recruits. He just says, "All right, here are the rings, and I'm just going to walk away." Right?
No, absolutely.
Like, come on, let's be real. I mean, you could talk all you want, but if the rings are shiny and whatever,
yeah,
especially kids now, I mean, you see it, shiny rings, the bling that they say, it catches their attention.
No, absolutely. And these programs that are, have been consistently winning, they're doing things the right way. And I'm trying to tap into that, so that's why, Billy was a great addition, because it just doesn't start with game day and things like that. It's how you practice, what you do off the field in the classroom and things like that. So, sometimes when you're part of different programs that haven't had much success, you kind of miss out on, the habits and the things that they're doing the right way. So that's what we're trying to bring here.
Now, looking at as far as the summer is concerned, because obviously when you were hired, I think it was around June, right? Give or take.
Yep.
So summer conditioning, summer workouts were starting to get ramped up. How hard, and I know I talked to you early in the summer, and I know we were trying to, work it, and you were busy, granted. You had a lot of stuff. So obviously August, it worked out well. The storm thing wasn't bad, and we got this done. But how difficult was it, and this may sound dumb, but I'm just curious. How hard was it for you the first couple of weeks? Because it's like, okay, you're hired. Now go do summer stuff. Oh, make sure with the kids and all the stuff that comes with being now a head coach.
It wasn't more so as challenging for the program. Whereas, like I said, Coach Develis laid down the foundation. So we had a summer program before, and I was a big part of that with Coach Knott, who kind of runs our summer conditioning. So, having that already in place, Coach Knott does a great job. He works at Blue Streak with our guys as well. So having that already in place was great. It was a little difficult with a lot of the COVID restrictions. We couldn't have our weight room open, which was kind of like part of like a city district thing, trying to keep everyone safe. So I understood that. We later on were able to open it up later in the spring. So it was, we're playing catch up, but I don't think it was too bad, as I feel a lot of schools and districts were in the same situation. As far as summer, I think went well. We had about 85 guys consistently coming to work out between all three levels. We worked out 4 days a week, try to focus on, trying to get that strength back, but more so try to be explosive and work on our conditioning. So I was pleased with that, especially the numbers that came out for the younger groups as far as the freshmen and sophomores, which we really try to build around them. I was very happy with that.
How was as far as you mentioned the numbers, the energy and all that, was that something that was consistent where I know you obviously can't have 100% as far as turnout or energy or such, because not everything is perfect, but would you say it was a successful summer as far as the workouts were concerned?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. given our demographic, if you understand our demographic, our guys are working in the summer. So we worked out at 6 a.m. So that kind of helped. A little bit towards the end of the summer, I know a lot of families, which I don't blame them, took advantage of taking their vacations because they weren't able to the year before. So we had a couple guys miss out at the end, but I mean, we took advantage of every opportunity we could get, whether it was summer workouts, whether it was grip it and rip it, any other 707s that we could go to, and our guys showed up, so that was a big plus. And I think that's kind of helped us a little bit as far as, playing a little bit of catch up. So I was happy with that.
Now you mentioned the grip and rip it, and I think it was great to be able to have that kind of competition back and kind of just get players back into the groove of things a little bit. Now I know there wasn't tackle and all that, but still, just to be there, it's huge. Just because you want to make sure, okay, where it kind of gives you a sense of where the team is, particularly like Westhill. How would you say that went for the program as far as during that time?
I think it went well for the program, especially for me and some of the other coaches. I mean, we're trying to put in a new offense. We're trying to put in a new defense. And so we are trying to evaluate as many guys as possible. Grip and Ripper was great because the first day was hot. So it kind of let us know where we were at with our conditioning. And we learned a lot about ourselves. We have two young quarterbacks. One's going to be a junior, one's going to be a sophomore. So for them, that was great because you don't get a lot of, with the restrictions of being able to use the ball and things like that during the summer, you don't get to do that stuff. So the Grip and Rip is the opportunity with some live competition. Although you're not hitting and there's no pads and things like that, you still get to see, decision making, being able to handle the heat, being able to handle the pressure, which is something that we're trying to do right now with our guys. So I was very happy with it. So we turned out, the first day was rough. I think we went 1 for 2 on the first day. The second day was a lot better. We actually beat one of the teams that beat us the day prior. And we beat a couple good teams that have actually won it in the past. We ended up losing to Darien, and I think in the quarterfinals. So I was very pleased with our guys for, my first year with them at Grip It and Rip It and with a lot of young players. So very excited about that.
Now, after that was over with and you were talking to the team, what sense, like what was your feeling, or, you and your staff, what was the takeaway that you had after the Grip and Rip It?
We still have a lot of work to do. That was one takeaway. But it helped us, one, evaluate some of our competition with some of the other teams that we're going to go up against. It gave our guys a chance to understand, yes, they have been working, but they get a chance to see other people have been working as well. So you can't get complacent, which kind of re-energized us, as this Grip and Rip is like towards the middle of the summer. So we were already about 4 weeks in at that time. So it was good to, get that spark again and get guys back to work after seeing, hey, we're in a good league. It reminded us we got work to do.
I think it's pretty good, Coach, that it's, it's right in the middle of the summer. And then because you have, you turn the page over to August and now you got practice going and the pads just came on and everything. I think it's good to have that because now, like you said, what needs to be worked on. If you're not in something like the Grip and Rip It and you really don't have a sense of what your team is, and this goes for whatever you're doing, it doesn't just have to be that, but for you to have the opportunity, especially for your staff, it allows you to see what you need to work on. And now you really can get into it because realistically, games are in 18 days, 17 days, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like for me, especially, game management, things like that, working with, a couple of new staff members, it gave us a chance to feel each other out. Some of us have never coached with each other. So going into our first game, obviously we have a few scrimmages coming up, but, you would like to have more experience than that going into your first game. Like I said, a lot of the programs that we play against are well-established. Coaches have been there for years. So it is an uphill battle with that sense. But, you know, it's part of the game, you know, it's part of this transition. And we're just happy we were able to take advantage of that opportunity.
Now, over the course of the last week plus with practice and all that and conditioning, how would you say that things have been thus far with the team? I know it's early, but how has it been thus far?
It's been great. Like I said, we're just happy to be be able to be out there, and we're constantly evaluating our guys. We film everything in practice, from you know the big drills to the little drills. I think every moment can be a teaching moment, and we've been trying to make sure our guys understand like football is just another classroom, and the more they invest in learning the game and learning their craft, the better they'll be. You know, the better programs that we play against, not always the biggest or fastest programs, but like they're the most disciplined and most coachable. So those are things that we're trying to instill with our guys, and make sure that, you know, they're guys that are going to want to learn the game. I think we have a good group right now that have bought into that, you know, I guess, motto. So we're trying to keep that going.
Has there been any sort of position or group that has really jumped out early in practice thus far?
Right now, I think our secondary. I think our secondary has definitely jumped out to us. It just comes with experience. I think it's a little easier for them just because they've been part of so many 7-7s and things like that. So they've gone up against pretty good competition, and they're a little bit ahead of the game with what we're trying to do on defense. We have a few guys, you know, David Moody at corner, who's also a running back for us. He's been playing varsity since freshman year, so he brings a lot of experience. Nazir Thornton, who's one of our captains, you know, he's kind of playing safety, a little bit of corner, and he's been part of all the 7-on-7 stuff. Great athlete, also plays lacrosse, so he's been someone that we're trying to rely on to make some big plays for us this year. Ryan Ellis is another one. Very coachable young man, very smart kid, very scrappy, and he's bought into what we're trying to do. And then to round out the safeties, you know, we have a transfer from Stepanak. Kevin Laba comes from a great program. You could tell he's been coached. So he's a great athlete, and we're looking for him to really make some big plays. And then Robert Okun is another young man who's, you know, put in a lot of work in the weight room in the off season. So we're hoping those guys could really, you know, shut down and keep guys from making the big plays. So we're looking forward to that group.
Do you think that early on that defense is going to be something that is going to be needed, especially because of the lost season and with, you know, some games are going to be ugly. There's going to be some one-sided games just because of various reasons. And if you have a good defense early on, that could allow you the time that your offense needs to kind of get things back, especially for you. You're putting in a new offense that, particularly with the players and everything else, could take maybe a little bit more time.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and I think it goes back to what I said before about being coachable and being disciplined. I think when you watch these teams, you know, they have athletes, you know, but the teams that we play up against, they're very disciplined and very coachable. And that's something that we're continuously trying to preach to our guys. And if you could start off by, you know, keeping them from scoring more points than you, it helps. So that's something that we're definitely focusing on, having a solid defense and not giving up the big play. And I think it'll help us in the long run. Offensively, you know, obviously we want to score points, but for us, we got to control the clock. You know, I think we got to be smart with how we're playing the game. You know, we have some teams in our league that are very explosive, and I'm not going to be naive about it. We got to kind of play our game and not play their game because, you know, a mistake here or there, next thing you know, it's 50 zip. So we're just trying to be smart about it.
Coach, I really do appreciate you coming on. I do have one more question for really quick. What can people expect as far as from the Westhill program? I know it's hard with, new coaching staff and schemes and everything else. So it's really hard to say, oh, we're going to be this, we're going to be that. But with you being the head coach, you have a particular vision and what they do on the field as far as not so much the wins and the losses, but how they act on the field, off the field and such. It reflects you and the staff. how do you want the Westhill program to be seen when people go to watch Westhill play?
Well, we've been preaching to our guys all season just to be, scrappy, disciplined, physical. That's a big thing that I preach a lot. I came from a small school. Like I said, I went to Trinity. We were always outnumbered in a small school. And, you just play with the guys next to you and you try to fight like hell. So that's something that we're going to try to do. We're going to try to be smart and give it everything we got. I know that sounds cliche, but we definitely want to be physical. So that's something that we've been trying to, we had our first day of hitting yesterday. So the guys are pretty excited. And we try to make sure we tame that as much as possible in a controlled fashion. But physicality is something that we're preaching a lot.
Coach, I really do appreciate you coming on, and hopefully I can get you back on during the season to see how Westhill is doing, and especially in your first season as head coach.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it, Chris. I look forward to, seeing more interviews. I always get a lot of insight, so appreciate you having me on.
No problem. I'll wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. Now I'm our journey to find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.